When the hotel clerk slid the key cards back across the counter and said my name wasn't on the reservation, I felt the floor tilt just enough to tell me something was wrong. The lobby smelled like lemon cleaner and old carpet, the kind that had seen too many suitcases dragged across it. A soft instrumental version of a love song played overhead, tinny and too cheerful for the way my chest tightened. I stood there with my overnight bag hooked on my elbow, watching the clerk's polite smile stretch thinner by the second as she clicked her mouse again. "I'm sorry," she said, eyes flicking between the screen and my face. "It looks like there are rooms booked for your parents and your sister, but I don't see one under your name." I laughed once, short and automatic. "That's not possible. My mom booked everything." The clerk nodded, the way people do when they're trained to absorb frustration. "Sometimes reservations are under a different name?" I spelled my last name, then my mother's, then my sister's. Each time, the answer was the same. No room. Behind me, a family wheeled past, arguing softly about who had the charger. Somewhere near the elevators, ice clinked in a bucket. Life kept moving, ordinary and unbothered, while I stood there realizing I had driven 6 hours for a family weekend and nowhere to sleep. I stepped aside and pulled out my phone, already dialing my mother. It rang.
And rang.
No answer. A week earlier, my life had felt calm in the small, unremarkable way I'd worked hard to build. I was 42, divorced for 5 years, living alone in a tidy 2-bedroom rental with creaky floors and a porch that caught the late afternoon sun. My job at the community college kept me busy, advising students, answering emails, grading papers with a mug of reheated coffee always at my elbow. I talked to my mom almost every day. Sometimes it was a quick check-in, sometimes a long conversation that wandered from grocery prices to childhood memories. She liked to say, "We're just close like that," and I believed her. When she called to tell me about the family weekend, her voice had been bright, almost proud. "Your father found a great hotel by the lake," she said. "We thought it would be nice for all of us to be together. Just one night. You, your sister, us. Like old times." I remember standing in my kitchen, staring at the chipped edge of the counter while she talked. I could smell toast burning in the toaster, forgotten because I was smiling. It had been a while since I'd felt included without having to ask. "Are you sure?" I'd said. "I know it's a lot to coordinate." "Oh, I've got it handled," she replied quickly. "I already booked the rooms." Rooms. Plural. I didn't press. I never did with her. I'd learned, somewhere along the way, that questions could sound like accusations if you weren't careful. The days leading up to the trip were filled with small, hopeful details. I washed clothes I rarely wore, folded them carefully. I bought a new paperback for the drive. I even stopped by the bakery near my house and picked up a box of lemon cookies, my dad's favorite, thinking it would be a nice gesture. The morning I left, the sky was low and gray. Rain streaked my windshield for the first hour, the wipers squeaking in protest. I listened to talk radio, then switched it off and drove in silence, letting my thoughts drift. I told myself not to expect too much. Just a quiet dinner. Maybe a walk by the lake. When I arrived at the hotel, dusk was settling in. The building was taller than I'd imagined, all glass and stone, lights glowing warmly inside. My parents' car was already in the lot. I recognized it immediately. That familiar mix of relief and anticipation rose in me as I parked. Inside, the lobby buzzed softly with weekend energy. Couples checking in, kids tugging at parents' hands. I wheeled my bag to the front desk, rehearsing nothing more complicated than checking in. And then nothing.
No reservation.
No room. I tried my mom again. Still no answer. I texted. "I'm at the front desk. They say I don't have a room?" The 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. My sister's name popped up instead. "Hey, where are you?" In the lobby, I typed back. "There's a problem with my room." A pause. Longer this time. "What do you mean?" She replied. Before I could answer, I heard my mother's voice behind me. "Oh, there you are." I turned. She was standing near the elevators with my father and my sister, all of them holding key card envelopes. My mom's smile was fixed, like she'd put it on too quickly and forgotten to soften it. "What's going on?" she asked, though her eyes flicked briefly to the front desk, then back to me. I gestured toward the counter. "They can't find my reservation." My father frowned, confused. "That's odd." My sister shifted her weight, avoiding my eyes. She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, a nervous habit she'd had since we were kids.
My mom let out a small sigh.
"Well," she said, lowering her voice, "it must be a mistake. These things happen." I waited. Something in me expected her to step forward, to pull out her phone, to say my name clearly and fix it. Instead, she glanced at the clerk and then back at me. "They're pretty full tonight," she added. "But maybe they can find something." The clerk cleared her throat. "We do have one room available," she said carefully. "It's a single. There would be an additional charge." I looked at my mom. "Didn't you say you booked rooms for all of us?" There it was. A beat too long. The smallest hitch in her breath.
"I thought I did," she said.
I must have forgotten. Forgotten. The word landed heavier than it should have. Forgotten me. Not the dates. Not the confirmation email.
Me.
My sister finally spoke. "It's just for one night," she said quickly. "You can get the extra room. We'll sort it out later." I nodded, because that's what I've always done. I nodded and smiled and told myself not to make a scene. At the desk, I handed over my card. As I signed the receipt, my phone buzzed once, twice, 3 times. Missed calls. Texts piling up. Only then did I realize how quiet my mother had gone, and how loud my phone was about to become.